everyone, welcome to Sports Coverage with me and Adi and Rishi. I'm Rahul, and yes, it's time to discuss Gareth Southgate because that's I think is it's all over social media. At the time of recording this video, England have not played their quarterfinal game against Switzerland, so we don't know if that has sort of affected your judgment over his tenure with England. But yeah, basically the conversation is simple, guys. I think regardless of what he does in the Euros, what do you think about Gareth Southgate? Do you think he must stay with England or it's time to depart? Because there's talks over a contract extension for him. His contract expires this year, and yeah, I mean, it's I think the perfect time to bring up this conversation, Rishi. Gareth Southgate for you. Yeah, we'll get to a few other contingencies a little later, but right now, what do you think about Gareth?
I mean, to begin with, I never thought he was he had enough credits in the bank to be the manager of a national team of England's pedigree in the first place. Like he got the job, if I'm not wrong, just based off like he was the under 21s manager or something. He was with the setup. I think that's the reason why he got the job, right? Not he didn't have any much managerial experience. He got the job simply off the basis of he's been around the players, around the young players, so he's familiar with the situation. Is what was the criteria based on which he was given the job, and I never thought that was good enough to begin with, considering the quality of players that he had back then and he has right now. Like at any point of his tenure, like if you were to ask me, is he the right man for the job? Like tomorrow, if you had an option, would you jump ship? I'd be like, yeah, definitely, because at no point did I feel he's confident enough. Like you can take it from another perspective and say that for his defense, like I've done like if I were him, I'd say that yeah, look at my achievements. I've gone further than any other England manager, say, except for the team that won the World Cup back in like black and white time. So I've gone to the Euro final. So but then again, it was never convincing to begin with. And you can see like it was always there that the players were always left isolated. They never knew what their roles were. They never had this cohesion. Like of course you can say that he had a lot of players on board with him. Like he's made a lot of players like familiarize and get that camaraderie back for whatever sense, but I don't feel that's good enough to continue as a manager, especially when you have the options that are there. Like
Yeah.
the whenever clubs were in need, they were taking up a lot of names. Now you can say any of those, like you have two three of those managers who can do a much better job than Southgate given the squad that he has.
Yeah, Rishi, like again, to where you started off, Gareth Southgate did not have any major managerial
Exactly.
experience, like you said before coming to England under 21s, and the only club he managed was Middlesbrough. So, not a lot of managerial experience. And Adi, like he was appointed clearly. Uh, have you been able to figure out like a style of play with him, or are you still trying to figure that out?
I mean, yeah, I remember saying this in the last video also. In terms of, see, I think the reason he came in was to stabilize, England at that point of time because when they left, Hodgson left and I think Samuel Allardyce came in. I think he had his own controversies and then he got sacked. So it was very like immediate interim kind of job where he came in. I think he had a couple of good results in the beginning where it just went on to become the full-time coach. And since then, you can say they've done well in the tournaments because in the 2018 World Cup, they went to the semi-finals. They came fourth place. But if you look at how they went into the semi-finals was a different view because they had a very easy, draw. And when they played Colombia also, they had to struggle and scrape through to that semi-finals also. It was not very easy for them to go through. And yeah, I mean, when you talk about, England, I think the only good performance I've ever had in tournaments was that Euros 2021 Euros, where I think that time most of the nations, apart from maybe Italy, were also in that football era was a weird space, in my opinion. I think anything that happened in the 2020, I don't really consider it, valid to at least my opinion.
Okay,
So we had a
sad.
lot of weird results
Sad
happen.
Liverpool fans, man.
What do you mean?
Sad Liverpool fans.
Dude, I'm not talking about the 2019, 2020, the 2020, like when they started,
2020, 2020.
when
Okay.
everything was weird. You saw Everton going beating Liverpool randomly in Anfield and stuff like that was happening. But
Mhm.
yeah, dude, that's the point. Like you talk about style of play, it's more than style of play. It's about the players he's had. I mean, you look at the talent he's had. You can't sit and say, okay, style of play is fine if you're playing defensive. Fair enough, because you look at Italy, they play very defensive and they won a Euro.
Yeah,
So you,
yeah,
it is not really about attacking football, defensive football, glamorous football, rigid football, just playing it neat, tidy, simple. It's not about that. It's about the talent you have and getting the best of the talent. Because you see each nation, you talk about Germany, you talk about Spain, you always have players coming and going, but it's about playing a style of play which helps the players that you have, right? If Southgate, just take for this Euros, he's bought in certain players. He this time he wanted to be bold enough. He got in random youth players in the sense of I still think these players maybe are there based on the hype than the merit they had this season, right? Because at the end of the day, even if you're getting random players or young players in, let me put it like that, you need to play them in an environment where you have stability already in the first 11, because you look at these players who come in, right? Adam Wharton, Kobe Mainu, to an extent Cole Palmer. All these players are players who don't have much experience internationally, don't have much experience even for club. Apart from Mainu, I don't think in terms of that rigorous experience they have. Only player is Palmer, and you get in Palmer in. Uh, Again, there is no real space for Palmer. Okay. Anyways, you keep that aside. You talk about your starting 11. You keep persisting with Kane, and fair enough. But you need to build a team around him that helps him, right? Again, you have two players who can just play with the ball, with Bellingham, with uh, Foden. It's more about the players. I said that last time. It's more like he makes it more tougher for his own players, his own starting 11 to play in the team. Every time I look at this team, as I said, even though they look like they're friends off the pitch, on the pitch they look like they hate each other. Like I see Kyle Walker never looking to pass it to Saka. It looks like I'm literally saying like I feel like Kyle Walker just doesn't like passing it outside to Saka. Then I see same thing with Gueye. He feels it tough to play it out to Trippier. Same thing with Rice. Whenever Rice is playing in midfield, he has no one to pass it to. And then, entire media comes in and says, we need Rice to play through progressive passes, etc. See, the point is, you sit and talk about Tony Cruz saying, wow, he plays progressive passes. But why does he have to play progressive passes? Because he has players in the middle, in between the lines, who he can pass it to. The only reason you find Tony Cruz having so many number of passes is because he has Musiala, he has Gundogan dropping in between those spaces where he can pass it to. I look at Rice. Rice is standing in the middle of the midfield. There are three people in front of him. I see Foden somewhere else. I see Bellingham somewhere else. I see Saka somewhere else. I see Kane somewhere else. And this has been a routine trend over the past, not only in this Euros, but even previously the Euros. So, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's just not a style of play. It's about getting the right, first of all, profiling your players in the right manner, putting in trust in those players, and playing a style or system which helps your players. I feel like you just play a very simple system that helps your players. I think the players themselves will show their best qualities.
mm.
Like the likes of Germany and Spain that are doing right now.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think what I get, the sense I get again from both of you is that okay, it's time to move on because he hasn't done what he has had to do. And fair enough, you move on, and you're even if you are not going to extend his contract, you're going to bring in a new manager. Who is the question? And Rishi, of course, there are a couple player managers who have been linked because they have been without jobs. Mauricio Pochettino is one of them. He's been without a job since he parted ways with Chelsea. Same with Graham Potter, who's also without a job, and he's also been linked to the England job. So there are a couple of managers who are willing to sort of. It looks like are in contention at least. Do you see any of these two coming in, or like are there any other names you want to throw in?
I mean, see, to throw in, you have a lot of available managers who I feel can do a much better job. Like, you have someone like the question is, one, will they take the job? Because FA has their own thing. You need to satisfy them, their egos as well, and
Mm.
so you have managers like your Zinedine Zidane, who has a particular like ego and standards of his own. Like, why would he come and work here? Like, and why would he work for them when they almost like you have to satisfy them. It's like it's not like you're working with them. It almost feels like you're working for them. And you have a lot of other managers. You have like Xavi Hernandez, you have Joachim Löw, you have a lot of managers who have what it takes to do a much better job than him. But like you said, there are managers who have worked in England, have worked with a lot of these players. You have Graham Potter, who is known for his versatility. Like his player profiling was actually very good in Burnley. I mean, sorry, in Brighton. Like he could come in, he understood. Okay, I need to use this player in this position. How can I get the best out of this player if he plays here? And that is exactly what something like a national team basically needs. Like, you can't go and purchase XYZ player. It's basically work with what you have, and maybe if you see somebody else coming through, you pick them. So
Yeah.
in that aspect, like what more can you ask for than a manager who knows what can I do, what like how can I bring the best out of the players I have? I mean, like that is logically the most easy and the most go-to option, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
For sure.
and like coincidentally he happens to be free as well, so it's not like you need to buy him out of a contract, or like he's English speaking. He probably has a good idea of all these players. He would have easier to communicate. He's also very flexible, and from all these manners, and same thing goes to Mauricio Pochettino as well. Like although he's just come off a managerial job, like whether he'll need a break, that is yet to be seen. But assuming that he's available, he too has worked in England for a long, like for long space of time. He has worked with players like Harry Kane before, so he has enough knowledge of the players as well. So these two are sure shot, contenders who can do a much better job than Southgate has been doing.
Yeah, interesting. Adi, would you want England to continue with Southgate or bring in like any of these names that we have mentioned? Or if you have names to throw in of yours?
Yeah, dude, that's what. See, when we talk about England, national football team, it's not just about coaches, it's about the personality of that coach. I feel like with England, the way that country works, especially with football, there's going to be a lot of media biasness. You saw how, like, for example, how the media put pressure on Cole Palmer to play for England and make Saka play at left back. As if you have a manager and if you have basic capabilities to think, that it's not going to work. But
Yeah.
then you have a man like Gareth Southgate who just eats up the pressure from the media and does it, right?
No, that's
Which
actually
is,
insane, dude. Like, I can't believe like you would do that. And
yeah,
if I'm not
that's
wrong,
what
he said something like, "You guys keep calling for this." I'm like, bro, then why are you listening to the fans? Like,
exactly.
He
don't
didn't.
you
That's
He
have
didn't
a
even
brain
stick
of
to
your
it. He did
own?
it for a while, and then he stuck him back at right wing. Like, what is he thinking?
And that's my
Bro,
point. Like, I feel like you need big characters. This guy is a guy who is there to please the media, who's there to please the so-called supporters of, the so-called pundits, whatever they are. Like, the guys who ride the tabloids. He's there to support them or maybe, back them. And that's what I said when, Gareth Southgate as a manager, people can come and sit and say, he's created a good environment. But to be honest, it's not that tough. It's about when the times are tough, you need to back your players, back your superstars, which he hasn't done that constantly. I remember even in the World Cup, again, I don't know, based on what he made stupid decisions in terms of substitutions. I remember that game also. Maybe I'm biased as an Arsenal fan, but even if I take that out, that game
no.
Saka was
Saka
England's
was
best
their best
player,
player that day.
and he took him out at the 60th minute to get in Rashford or Sterling. I don't really remember properly, but one of those players, I think it was Rashford. But yeah, regardless, I remember the way that game went also, right? So he's been doing this a lot from a long time, where he just puts his best players off, for the sake of it, instead of creating an environment. And as I said, if you need to have managers with principle, manager who can face the media, can go against the media, and be like, see, at the end of the day, media, all these journalists, who are they are, they're writing for the clicks. Me as a manager, I'm not going to sit and see, okay, these guys are putting pressure on me. Let me put him on left back, just because some random Ian Wright says he needs to play left back, without me as a manager even knowing what is the best for the team. And I feel like right now, even if you put in Graham Potter or someone else, I feel like it's still going to happen. I don't think they're big characters. Graham Potter seemed like a guy in Chelsea. Also, he's come from Brighton, Chelsea, where two teams are well known to have, coaches, not managers. in terms of you just coach the team and you have to listen to the board. You can't talk back to the board, etc. And he's come from environments where he's just accepted what Brighton has given him and played with Brighton players.
Okay.
Same with Chelsea, he just came in to coach the players. He was never there sitting and saying, I want this player. Never, is a guy who's never been able to go against. Then you talk about Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino is a guy, I don't know, man. I don't know how his
No, I think he
legacy
has
will.
more character for sure because I think at least with Chelsea he wanted certain things certain way,
See,
not the players, but he wanted like the club to run a certain way, and that didn't happen, and that's why he left. Is what
And Todd
the
Bowley was getting,
most people
apparently
think.
he was getting over in the transfers, and Pochettino wanted the transfer side to remain intact, and that they didn't meet eye to eye apparently.
But the
Maybe
thing
there
with
may be something of his
Pochettino,
character.
for me, the thing with Pochettino is, firstly, I feel like he already has biasness. He has rivalries. He's only managed Chelsea and Tottenham. I feel like he already would have a form of biasness, anyways. Secondly, I still don't think. See, we're talking about England. We're talking about national teams who play cup matches. They're not going to sit and play a league where you would want a top four, top six, etc. We just every time England go into the tournament, they want to win the tournament. And I still don't think, in terms of the manager capability, he still has it. In terms of especially winning a competition, I still don't think he can. He has that mentality. I don't know. I really haven't experienced Pochettino that much to know more about what he can do in a so-called knockout competition. For me, ideally, there's only one man right now who's free, who's been in England for so long. Recently left Liverpool. I
Yeah,
think
Klopp,
for me,
but
I would put Klopp. I would do everything from a perspective of England to get Klopp, because one thing I still think Klopp can always look at England as a lucrative, opportunity. Not lucrative in terms of money, but in terms of his own career. Imagine
mm,
winning. First, dude, there is so many good things for Klopp. First of all, he gets to pick the best players from England. He gets to coach. He himself said the reason he left Liverpool is because he's getting tired. But when you're sitting and coaching England, you're not doing that regularly every week in, week out. You're just doing it once in 1 month, once in 2 months, maximum 3, 4 times a year, and then you have your cup competition. So that's you're more relaxed in that sense. You get to still live in England, which he really likes living in Liverpool, so he still can stay in Liverpool. He doesn't need to shift out of the country if he wants to stay there. He has no pressure of coming into the league every year, winning it. It's just more about facing the media when it comes to a tournament. And I feel like he's a strong character where he'll take bold decisions regardless of anyone else telling him what
yeah,
to do. He's not going to sit there and be like, okay, next week media is going to come and say, uh, Kane's too old, play Tony. But I don't think Klopp is just going to sit and listen to them. He whatever he thinks is right, he'll play. And we know at least he has a philosophy, a certain philosophy in terms of football. Like, we know his principles, the way he likes pressing, fast paced, football, which I think actually suits England the best, anyways, because we saw how in the Euros also it was the counter attacking football that helped them. So for me,
mm,
as the FA, I would only, for me, if I was the head of the FA, I would only look at Jurgen Klopp, put
okay.
everything at him. And if it doesn't work out, then maybe I have to look at alternatives because I have no choice. But for me, the perfect suitor, at least for now, would be Jurgen Klopp.
But I think most of us, yeah, even Rishi would have Jurgen Klopp at England. I think the only problem with Klopp is just, I think him personally and what he wants to do in his life. It's about his, not in a footballing sense, just in terms of work. I think whether he wants to continue working or not is completely up to him. I think it's a very personal thing for him now, more than what is the project or what is the option. Because I'm sure most clubs and most countries would love to have him. But yeah, guys, we've thrown at you some options there. Jurgen Klopp, of course, probably leading the line, and there are some others as well. Rishi's mentioned Zidane. You've got Pochettino and Potter, who are also
Keep in
who've
mind
been
there's
linked
Ole Gunnar
with.
Solskjaer also who's available.
Yeah, there's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Apparently, Rishi saying, bro, he's coming to India and all, dude. What? I don't think he
No,
cares
he is
about
apparently
football
working
anymore.
for UEFA as some analyst or something. And
Okay.
I mean, his United sides were always like, on the break, there were fast breaks. Like, I think for one, like being serious, not just
Oh, you're
me, like,
serious? Oh, damn. Okay.
yeah, I was serious. Like, I think, like, just from a footballing perspective, I think like for a team that can just sit back, absorb pressure, keep it tight, and then hit teams on the break. I think that would just work out. And he, for
Then
someone like Ollie who can keep the board.
why not ask him to come back to United if he's such a great
Yo,
manager?
Yeah,
enough.
I know. Ask him to come.
I've
Why
had
not?
enough
Yeah.
PTSD.
What happened?
I've had enough
Huh?
PTSD from him from two and a
What
half years.
PTSD? You
No,
really
he
just
just said he's so
appreciated him
good
2 seconds
counter-attacking
ago.
football. He's damn good and all.
Uh, yeah, again, I'm not an England fan, so if things go south, I couldn't, I'll just end up laughing at them. So,
Gotcha. Interesting. Rishi, so if you are an England fan, Rishi was not giving you the best option. But
no,
yeah,
I
guys,
mean,
these are the options that we've thrown
it
at
still
you.
does, like, see, so at the end of the day, even if the fans
Decide,
wanted him or
you
not,
want to back him or
wanted
not?
yeah, see, no, I think he would be a good option for England.
Okay.
You want to make them a peak Brexit Burnley football. I think you have Ollie as your man.
Interesting, guys. So yeah, 5 names: Solskjaer, Potter, Pochettino, Zidane, and Jurgen Klopp are the ones that we've come across. You guys, let us know if you think Southgate himself should continue, and yeah, whatever you feel, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Sports Kabri, follow and share the videos as well. See you guys later.